you see your horizon victory.
Hey guys, it's MugenLord and I'm back again, and this time I want to do something a little different. I don't really do this too much on my YouTube channel, and that's doing some game reviews. This is going to be somewhat of a game review slash rant because I'm really passionate about this game or in this franchise and everything, so I really want to give my opinion and give my take on it. Now, before I begin this review, I just want to let you guys know that this is only my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You can like it if you want, but at the end of the day, you formulate your own opinion and what you feel about it. So let us begin. Now, with this review, I'll be reviewing the game Sonic Forces. Now, for you guys who don't know what Sonic Forces is, Sega had announced 2 Sonic games that were going to be released within the same year, and that was Sonic Mania, which was created by Christian Whitehead and his team, who's also a Sonic fan, and he got a chance to be blessed to be able to be allowed to develop a 2D Sonic game, and the game had hit the community in a positive way. It hit them hard in a positive way. I really respect Sonic Forces. I really enjoyed the game and everything. So this pretty much had the fans super excited in the Sonic community, because maybe this is a chance that Sonic can pretty much become that icon that everybody remembered alongside Mickey Mouse and Mario and other iconic cartoon characters or mascots, or however you want to call them. But yeah, so now we have Sonic Forces. Now we finally have gotten off the rush of Sonic Mania. Now everybody's looking forward to see what the next 3D Sonic game has to offer to the community. Now, like most Sonic games, when the Sonic game is being announced or released, it pretty much splits the community in half, from people who can't stand the game and people who love the game. So what I feel about Sonic Forces, and all I can say to you is, boy. And just by looking at my face and just how I'm expressing myself about it, you can pretty much get a gist of how I feel about the game. But I definitely want to go through it in more details, because when it comes to my reviews, when it comes to me judging something, I do give credit to where credit is due. So I want to break this review down into also pros and cons, so you can actually see what the pros of it is to me, in my opinion, and what the cons are to this game. So we're going to begin with the pros. Now, the pros I want to talk about is its presentation. Now, the game is gorgeous. Now, I got the PS4 version. The reason why I got the PS4 version, because when it comes to my Sonic games, I want my Sonic games to just run buttery smooth and look great, and I think the PS4 had delivered on that forefront. But don't get me wrong, the Nintendo Switch version is also a good version in terms of its portability. And if you want a Sonic game that you want to be able to play on the go, Sonic Forces would be the game for you. You can play it home and you can play it anywhere, in spurts, in snap spurts and stuff like that. But this is the PS4 version. The PS4 version runs at 60 frames per second. It runs really smooth. Now, as far as the presentation concerned, as far as graphics and stuff, the graphics is gorgeous. Sonic Forces, and I believe when it comes to Sonic, when it comes to like the most recent Sonic, like Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Generations, and even if you look at the cinematics in Sonic 06 and even Shadow the Hedgehog, I think it presents itself pretty well in terms of its visuals and its cinematic trailers and everything. So it didn't fail on that. It looks really good, and I really appreciate that. I love when Sonic looks that great. And then I also want to talk about the Avatar system. Now, if you guys have been following me and been watching my videos surrounding Sonic Forces, the Avatar system really caught me by surprise. Now, my initial impressions still stand in certain aspects where the Avatar feels generic in a way, or no, I wouldn't say feel, but looks generic. Especially when you first starting out, because there's not much selection starting, but there is a robust system underneath it as you begin to unlock more things, and I'll get into that part of the Avatar system when I talk about gameplay. But I was very surprised at how complex and detailed it can get, developing your avatar, because you can find yourself, I found myself sitting there for quite a while, just digging through it and everything like that. And if you guys haven't checked out my stream, I actually streamed the game at launch. You can check it out and see me going through the whole avatar creation and stuff. So yes, you have a variety as far as different races or classes of characters and animals, and how you want to create your avatar base and everything. And each avatar or each race or animal class has its own special abilities, and that's the sad part, which I'll get into my gameplay mechanics later on in the review. It doesn't really go in much detail about that. So now the next thing I want to talk about also as well is the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack is another pro to this game. Now, when it comes to Sonic, I always when it comes to Sonic and when it comes to comparing soundtracks, I always love Sonic soundtrack over the Mario soundtrack. It's always something about Sonic. Sonic has that house party or that pop / rock type of vibe it has going on for itself. And the thing I love about this is with the modern Sonic levels and the Avatar level stages, it has this they returned with vocal tracks during the stages, and the vocal tracks brought me back to the time of Sonic R. Sonic R, even though that the tracks had a cheese factor to it, they were pretty catchy. They was pretty hippie and everything, and you find yourself humming the track or even singing the tracks, you know, in your head or out loud and stuff and everything. And when I played the modern level Sonic and the Avatar levels, when they had the vocal tracks playing, you was able to jam to them and everything, and I can remember them. They're memorable and stuff. Now, as far as lyrics are concerned, I haven't really prayed too much about the lyrics because they're not as simple as Sonic R lyrics where you can just constantly repeat it and stuff like that. But I love the music in that aspect. And then the last pros that this game has is its price. Now, the game was priced at $40, which caught me by surprise, and I forgot the game was $40. Because when I went to go pick the game up, and the guy was like, "Yeah, $40." Like, $40. Wait a minute. And I just thought about it. I said, "Yes, the game was priced at $40." And it also gave me a red flag when they did announce that the game was going to be $40, because it just triggered in my head that, hey, why is this game is 40 instead of 60 like any other Sonic game or any other console game and stuff. So, but it's a good price for the game that's being for the product that's being sold to you. When you play it, you'll see, or whatever like that. But yes, the $40 price tag, you can't beat it. There's some people that are still saying that they're going to continue to wait until the price drop down even more. But $40, you can't beat it for this kind of game and for this kind of experience. So now we're going to move on to the game's cons. Now, there's a few cons that I really want to go through and share with you guys, but the first con is its story. Now, I wouldn't say it has some pros and cons, but I'm going to talk a little about the pro part, but it's going to be more cons to the story than anything. The credit I would give to the story is that it tried to be a little dark and edgy for a Sonic game. Now, I know they attempted with Sonic 06 and Shadow the Hedgehog and stuff, but I'm glad that they went back and tried to give it a try again. Now, where the con coming in at is that the tone has some inconsistency to it to me, is because one minute that Sega wanted to step its toe into the darkness and then step its toe back out when it decided it wanted to become a children's game again, because it has its aspects to where it gets dark, and then it gets totally, the tone totally shifts when Sonic or characters try to be funny and crack a joke, or or their actions does something that doesn't seem like, to fit the tone of what they were trying to go for. So it looked like they was really didn't know what they wanted to do. The tone shift so often and seemed inconsistent, and it feels though that the story just didn't pay off for me. It felt anticlimactic. It didn't feel like there was any urgency to it, or it didn't feel like there was any struggle. It just seemed like that Sonic and his team was always going to prevail. You didn't feel that desperateness, because, spoiler alert, when you play the game, when it starts up pretty good, because it goes right into the action. You go right into the action right away, and then that's when the action occurs. Because Sonic, he's fighting against his past foes. He's fighting against Shadow, that evil guy from one of the Deadly Six from Sonic and the Lost Worlds. You had Chaos. You had all these older villains that came into play, and Sonic was fighting them, and he was doing pretty good. But once this character named Infinite shows up, which is another character which could have had potential, but it just all fell apart, is because you didn't understand where he came from, and you didn't understand his backstory or anything, or what the Phantom Stone or the Phantom Jewel actually does and where they originated from. So you was kind of left in the dark with that. But after he shows up, Sonic couldn't handle him at all, and then the guys, all his villains from his past, started jumping on him. I mean, he just did some damage to Sonic, and they pretty much tucked his shirt in. They tucked his shirt in so tight, Sonic couldn't do anything about it, and I liked the pace they were going for. But that's when the problem comes in. Spoiler alert, Sonic has supposed to have died. A lot of Tails and them thought that Sonic had died. He was gone for 6 months. So during the 6 months period, Eggman and Infinite had pretty much ruled. they pretty much took over and everything, and it calls tells them to start a resistance group, and that's where things were starting to get dark, and that's where your avatar comes into play. And your avatar is sent on a mission because they found details that Sonic was still alive, and come to find out that Sonic was, during the 6 months he was missing, he was being tortured by Eggman. I was like, oh, wait a minute, tortured. I was like, wow, whoa, let's stop. Sonic getting tortured. I said, okay, this game is getting kind of dark here. So I really respected that. And then, like I said before, it just kind of like became counterproductive because then it steps its toe back out of the darkness and stuff. So the story was just, it left you with many unanswered questions at the end. That's all I can say. And then we're going to talk about the gameplay and controls, because gameplay and controls is very, very important. And I have pretty much some lengthy things to say about the gameplay and controls. Now, first of all, as far as gameplay is concerned, this is a Sonic, first and foremost, is a platforming game. Like any other platforming game, like down to Mario, Gex the Lizard, or any other Toomba or whatever other platform games that you played back in the past and everything. And the thing about platforming games is always focuses on precision and with its controls. It has to have precise controls if you want to execute difficult platform jumping and everything like that. You need precision. And if you look at Sonic Mania or even past classic Sonic games, precision was the thing. Controlling Sonic was the most important part of how you played the older Sonic games. And as far as the controls are concerned, let's talk about 3D Sonic, modern Sonic first. Like, I didn't like how he felt. He felt stiff, and it felt like he was like gravity pulls him down when he jumped, and you didn't have precise control when you jump from platform to platform. Now, if I can recall, I believe it was the carnival stage where I had issues with the platform, and for the simple fact is, when you jump onto a platform, if you play like classic Sonic or whatever, or any 2D platforming game, especially if a platform is moving, when a platform moves or everything, you always want to jump. And if the platform is moving, you want to be able to control your character precisely to land onto the platform. Now, when you play this game in modern Sonic, there's no precision or no middle ground when you want to control him to jump. So if you jump, you have to be, you're literally dedicated to the jump. When you jump forward, he jumps too far. And there's no in between or no slight jump. There's either he's going to jump or not jump at all. And even if you try to slightly tap back to make him land, he doesn't move back at all while you're jumping. Once he's dedicated to the jump and the direction he's going, that's the direction that he's going. So it made the game pretty much a little bit hard for the platforming, because the game was not challenging at all, pretty much. And speaking of that, as far as challenge is concerned, I seen a YouTuber giving his opinion about what he thought about Sonic Forces, and I remember one of the commenters was commenting and saying, "Hey, your review is not legit at all, because I noticed by looking at the rings, how many rings that you have, that you're playing the game on normal mode." Because that's right, the game had two different modes. You had normal and you had hard. And part of this kind is the norm is, if you haven't played a Sonic game, we advise you to go with normal. Normal is supposed to be easy, so why didn't you just have easy? And then it has the hard mode. Hard mode is pretty much for players who played a Sonic game, a 3D Sonic game, or a classic Sonic game. But I started the game because after I seen the comments, people said, no, play the game on hard or whatever like that. So I said, okay, let me try the game on hard first. So I played the game on hard. And guess what? The game was still easy. It didn't challenge me in any way at all. The thing where the challenge come in is not the game itself, it's the controls. And it's how the game is designed overall, which causes you to die in a few areas if you're not cautious on, like, when it comes to certain parts of the game. Perfect example, like I said about the platforming, there was times where I tried to do precise platform jumping, and I either died, it was because when I jumped too far, which I couldn't control Sonic in a certain way to jump, and also when I boosted in certain areas. And speaking of boost, the game really did feel automated in a way, is where you had the control is taken out of your hands in a lot of segments. But back to the controls, I'll get back to that in a minute. But yes, there was times that I died because of the platforming, not because the platforming was hard, it's because of how Sonic controlled when you jump with Sonic, and that really made the game difficult. So move on to the Avatar gameplay. Now this is where my cons come in. Now the things with the Avatar, they give you so many tools to be able to create your character. You be able to get different armors and different gears and everything for your Avatar, depending on how you rank in the levels that you complete. Now when you complete the level, based on your rank, you get special gear. You may even get rare gear and stuff for your character. Now the gripe that I have is when you design your character, you do all this creations and stuff like that, and you really don't do much on any of the levels. The levels are very short, and that's another thing that I dislike about the game. The level is very short. Every level is about almost 1 minute long. So when you're going through these levels with your avatar, you don't feel an urgency, or you don't feel a need that you really need an avatar to play through any of these levels. You can just do fine just with Sonic. And speaking of that, your weapons. Now there's different weapons that you have. You have your rock, you have your flamethrower, you have the cubes, and then you have like the lightning rod and everything, and they all possess different abilities. Now the thing is, these abilities doesn't really change or really impact the gameplay in any shape or forms, because like I said before, whatever you do with your avatar with their wisp weapon, you can do it probably even better or just as useful just using Sonic doing homing attacks and everything like that. So that's where the issue come in with that. I didn't feel like that there was anything that distinguished the avatar from Sonic at all. Like, the avatar runs pretty fast and everything, but he just like Sonic, so there's really nothing that really distinguished him. There's really no real urgency or need for your avatar. And I felt as though that the weapons were pretty OP, like especially the lightning whip. That's the weapon I used. I went through the whole game using lightning whip, and what I mean by it's OP is because if you use the whip covers every inch and corner of the field when you're attacking your enemies. There's just one stage that I was on. It was a dual stage. I had to go into the pyramid with Sonic, and when you sit there, you're surrounded by these robots. I sat there and literally just clicked the R2 button, and the whip pretty much cleared the whole stage. It cleared the whole area I was in. I'm like, wow, like, what's the point? And at the same time, I also did it with Sonic. It just didn't feel, the stages didn't feel that hard, and the game didn't feel that difficult as I was going through it and everything. So it was just like a missed opportunity as far as the avatar is concerned. Now you also have the dual stages where you play as both the avatar and Sonic the Hedgehog together. Now the thing that confused me at points when I'm using the avatar and using Sonic is times where I forget I press the square button. I'm controlling the avatar, and I forget when I press the square button, I end up boosting with Sonic. And when I boost with Sonic, I often find myself flying off the stage by accident because I forgot for a second there that Sonic is fighting by my side. And then is at times where I'm using Sonic and then I accidentally use my avatar to use his weapon, and I find myself falling off the stage. And the thing about the whip weapon is when you use the whip and you slightly tap forward or left or right when using the whip, he flies across the screen for no reason. He covers too much ground as it is with the weapon. And there's a stage where you fight Infinite, and you can just sit there and tap the R2 button with the whip. Just tap it, just mash away. I'm just found myself just mashing away, just hitting him with the whip, and it just seemed just too simple. And then, like I said before, I feel like you have no control in this game. Everything feels automated. There's some quick time events, so I feel like it's at times you feel like you don't have no controls. But worst of all, the worst gameplay of it all is Classic Sonic. Classic Sonic was the biggest disappointment because I definitely enjoyed Classic Sonic and Sonic Generations. Sonic Generations was awesome. I really enjoyed Sonic Generations with Classic Sonic, and they took a lot of the modern stages and put it in classic form, and they were very creative with the designs of the characters and stuff, of the stages and stuff. But with this game, oh my god, like the level design and with all gameplay styles, but Classic Sonic, its gameplay was just horrible. Very linear. The platforming and controlling them sucked. Also the music, I was very disappointed. They decided to go with the 16-bit music, of course, with Classic Sonic, but for some reason just seems so out of place within the Classic Sonic. It just didn't match the tone. It didn't match how the game looked visually, and then they went with the 16-bit, and then the 16-bit music wasn't memorable at all. They sounded like trash, to be honest with you. I was really upset with what they done with Classic Sonic. And then speaking of level design, all the levels were very linear. Yes, you had some branching paths and stuff like that, but what it doesn't matter when you take these paths. You're not rewarded for finding these different paths. They were almost non-existent. Yes, it may branch up or down or whatever like that, but it meant nothing at all. You weren't really rewarded for anything for taking these paths and stuff. And then that's what really bothers me, is because there are some gorgeous environments, especially in the modern Sonic and the Avatar Sonic stages, where they're so gorgeous, but you don't get a chance to interact or explore any of these areas at all because the game just go forward. Now, some people will say, hey, you can just boost the game, which there is some true aspects and not so true aspects to that statement, is because since the stages are so short, you often find yourself boosting, and then you had to stop, is because there's either a ledge or there's something in your way which causes you to stop doing what you're doing, and you lose momentum, and then you have to clear that area, and then you move forward again and everything. So to a point, yes, you can boost your way through it, and then other points, you really can't, or whatever like that. But the stages were very simple, and the way the stages are designed, in a way, they feel like this could have been passable in a mobile game, because most mobile games, when you go in and you get a mobile game for like your phone or any mobile device, like your tablet or whatever like that, you going in with a mobile with your expectations set to that type of experience that you're going to get. Most mobile games, you don't get like a full-fledged or a console experience, so you might get like the level design may be simple and stuff because you're on the go when you're playing this stuff. But with this game, this is supposed to be a console game, a console experience, especially on next-gen consoles. The stage designs are horrible, even down to the Shadow DLC, which I don't want to spoil that at all, but even the Shadow DLC, the stages were very linear. And speaking of the levels, I keep forgetting too, there's only 30 stages in the game. There's only 30 stages in the game, and you will find yourself revisiting a lot of levels with each different character, because like I said, like when you're traveling and everything, one minute you're playing as classic Sonic and you're going through the level, next minute you're playing as your avatar, you're going through the level, and then you're going through the level with modern Sonic. So you find yourself going back to the same level, but from a different angle or different perspective of that same level. So you'll be seeing a lot of repeats, even with the soundtrack, because you've revisited the same levels but with a different gameplay style. But also, yeah, like reused assets, as usual and stuff for in this game and everything. But that's pretty much covers the gameplay and controls in the cons area. And that pretty much covers the cons all together: the story, the gameplay and control, and the level design. So before I give my score, I just want to give a little rant about what I expected from this game. Sega had pretty much said that they had pushed this game back a full year, because he said they wanted to make sure that this 3D Sonic game was going to be something that the fans would love and enjoy. And I was like, I really had faith, because after we seen Sonic Mania, when they revealed Sonic Mania, they said like fans were super hyped, like, yo, they really going to go traditional classic Sonic with the 16-bit and everything. And so it seemed like that Sega and Sonic and the Sega and the Sonic team were pretty much going to like start over. They're going to redesign and rethink Sonic altogether, and they pretty much hit the nail on the head with Sonic Mania. Then we come over to Sonic Forces, and they pretty much dropped the ball. So that statement that they made, that they said they were going to create a Sonic game that fans were going to love, that was pretty much like a bold statement. But I also still had faith, because I love Sonic, I love Sega. So I was like, okay, this may be the Sonic game that we all been waiting for, the 3D Sonic game that we all been waiting for. But it ended up being what we seen before. It didn't really change anything, wasn't groundbreaking. This game should have been the Mario Odyssey of Sonic. It should have been, especially with the ideals that they had going for it in terms of story. They wanted to go with a darker story. And the thing that really upsetted me about this is that they left a lot of story elements out and put a lot of the story elements in the comic book. If you guys didn't know, Sonic Forces had a comic book, and it's still, I think they're still dropping issues now. And these comic books pretty much give you details on what's going on in the story, or Infinite, where he came from and who he is and stuff like that. And these things and these elements should have been in the game itself to make the game feel much more fuller. And it seemed like this game did more telling than showing you. They tell you about certain events or certain things that's happened, but they don't show you why, or to get the player invested in the story, or to see where everything is coming, is coming into play and everything. And that's the real disappointing aspect of it. This game had a lot of potential, especially with the ideas that it had. And what I feel as though that Sonic Forces should have done, okay, if you're using the avatar system, which means that you guys really wanted to push the avatar. So when they made the statement that this was going to be the Sonic game that they were waiting, that fans would be waiting for, I believe they were more so hinting, or really counting on that the avatar system was going to be the catalyst behind this game's success. Now, like I said, the avatar system was really something that they really wanted to push forward with it. And I think if you look at Dragon Ball Xenoverse, where you create your avatar, and they really made your avatar the centerfold around the story and how you impact the story, and then with the other Dragon Ball characters and the timelines, and how your avatar interact with other people's avatars and stuff. And I think they executed that pretty well. So in this game, it feels though, okay, you create your avatar, you dress them up and everything like that, but the system, there's really not much to the game to really warrant an avatar, to me, in my opinion. So I feel like you're not really impacting anything to the story, or you're not really adding anything at all to the overall gameplay using your avatar. So I figured, okay, if they go with the avatar system, they could have went this route with the game. The main gameplay could have been, this game could have been a franchise to itself, where your avatar play a major role, and it could have been more open world or adventure-esque type of gameplay, to where, okay, you're a resistance group. Perfect ideal they had with this. This could have been a perfect ideal to where you're able to use other characters. If not use other characters, your avatar would pretty much go to your base of operations, which is like the hub world. You go to the base of operations. You could talk to the different Sonic characters that's in there, in the resistance, and each Sonic character have different menus that opens up, or different quests and stuff like that. Knuckles, he's the main guy that you talk to. He gives you quests and stuff like that. It unlocks areas on the map. You go travel on the map and go to these open worlds. Because now when you go to each level is like an open world, then your avatar will feel more personal, will feel like he's impacting the story, because now you can have much more fine-tuned gameplay mechanics. Then your wisp cannons or your wisp weapons can have much of a greater role, because you can do these certain missions. And when you do these missions can require you to gather new intel on where Sonic may be, since he's been going within the 6 months, or find intel on how to destroy the Death Egg and stuff like that, or you need to get resources to bring back to the base, and you go to Tails, and Tails can customize your wisp and increase the stats to your weapons, or increase the stats to your armors, or anything like that. I think if they was going to go this route, they should have did it that way. And even when you go to these different open levels and stuff, you can play with other characters' avatars. They can join in your lobby or anything like that, and y'all both can explore, or the 4 of you, the 5 of you, or whatever, how many players you could add into these environments. I think it would have been much more of a great idea, and then you can be able to interact with Sonic, interact with the Sonic and the rest of the cast together. And since Infinite was portrayed to be this most powerful character, Infinite reminded me of a character like the agents from the Matrix. He could have been like that type of character, where he randomly pops up on the stage, and you have to avoid him at all costs. You can't fight him yet because you're not prepared to fight him. I think that would have been a good gameplay aspect they could have added to this game, and you could have had rescue missions where you had to rescue and escort important people or even citizens and stuff like that. There's so much they could have did with the avatar system with this game overall, since they're going with a resistance base. Because if you notice, if you play the game, you look onto the map, you have Sonic team versus Eggman team. So if you complete certain quests and stuff like that, they could have used that to boost Sonic team's influences over the world versus Eggman and stuff. But that's pretty much my rant on that. And the score that I give this game, I give this game a 5 out of 10. And to me personally, this game deserves a 5 out of 10. This game had potential, and it was a missed opportunity. Bad controls, bad level design. The story was like inconsistent in ways. It left you with more questions than answers. Then they try to implement a comic book for you to get more details and stuff. So that was a disappointment. And as far as the pros are concerned, like I said, just the presentation with the visuals and the avatar system, and how much the game costs with the soundtrack and stuff. So that's pretty much my opinion, a 5 out of 10. And I want to hear what you guys' opinions is about it. You don't have to agree with me. I don't care. You can say what you want in the comment. You can call me all kinds of names or whatever like that. It doesn't matter. This is my opinion. But I would definitely love to hear your opinion. What score would you give this game? What's your fair assessment of the game? Do you think I'm a hater, or do you think people who dislike the game are haters? Or what do you feel about the game? So if you guys want to hear more reviews from me, make sure you leave that. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But this wraps up my review of Sonic Forces. You guys take it easy. Have a good night, you game fiends. I'm signing out.